Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hi, Ann.
I just trying, making sure it's all working. Oh, hold on. Let me start my video. There
There
I am.
you are.
Let's see how the lights. I'm going to put on some other lights. Hold on. Here we go. Goodness, I have so many different devices. I have my neighbor's webcam, my computer, my AirPods. I'm like, I had to call my husband downstairs, and I'm like, I need some tech help. I can't get the camera going.
Don't worry. Hey, I already failed
What?
because I didn't get pumpkin, so I have to cheat and use the pumpkin pie mix. I know.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's all about the process.
I know. It'll be
So
fun.
just don't add the sugar.
Yeah. Is that what the coconut sugar was for?
Yes.
Okay, because and I don't have coconut sugar, but I figured that's what it was for, and I thought, won't worry about it.
It's all about the how to do.
Good.
Yeah.
Everything else, we're ready to rock and roll. I got crap everywhere.
Oh no, wait, I'll show you, like, there's stuff there, and then I have like all in the background.
Awesome. I know. I've got, look, this is one counter. Can you see it?
Yeah.
There's the table.
Okay,
and then
good.
Look at that. Look at all that.
That's excellent.
Well, yeah, awesome. I'm just happy that a lot of it I had. I did see the swerve a long time ago, but I've never used it. I tasted it. It's really sweet, isn't it?
I don't, it says it's a 1-to-1. I use like a third.
Yeah, I can see why.
If not less. Yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing first? Which one?
We're going to do the pumpkin pie first because it needs to be, it has to cook for a while.
Sure. Okay. I won't ask any more questions. I'll wait to be directed.
That's okay.
How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, great. I mean, it's kind of funny because when I had the kitchen redone, the vision was to do cooking classes, and here I am. And this is how I can do it legally.
It looks good.
I couldn't really have people in the kitchen because it's like you need to have, fire extinguishers and like, the overhead and bathroom. Yeah. And I'm just like, I just want to teach classes. So
yeah, don't make it so difficult. So how many people are signing on?
I don't want a commercial kitchen.
Well, I think I sent 36 emails, but I think it'll be 10 to 15 because a lot of people want to watch the recording. And it is recording, so they get to see all of our talking.
Oh, good. So we'll have to be careful who we talk about.
Oh, you know what I'll do is all right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started because I'm sure people will be, joining us in a few minutes. So I'm going to have you, first thing I'm going to do, this is my first time doing a Zoom cooking class. I've done Zoom meetings, but the first time I'm fully in charge. So I'm going to mute all of you. And I think later I was going to ask my daughter to help out by monitoring the chat. I will do the best I can to be looking for that. If you do have questions, then we'll talk about that. So let me go and mute all, and I'm going to do that. Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen. Of course, I have to see if I can find it. Hold on, it's one of these. So now in the where? Oh, there we go. Is it there? Oh no, hold on. Sorry, guys. There it is. There it is. Hold on. Get back up here. And let me go. Here we go. Present. All right, and I think I can still, hopefully I can see if you were asking questions, or you can always try waving to me. All right, so hi, I'm Amy Fothergill. Thanks for coming to my low carb cooking class. Today I'm going to tell you about what to expect in the class. We've got a little housekeeping, some just technical things to go over. We'll do an introduction of what to expect and what we're going to be, introduction of me and how I started. We're going to go through some low carb basics, the what, the why, and substitutes, and how I changed the recipes for today. And then we're going to cook, cooking side by side. Some of you will be watching. And if we have enough time, we'll discuss other recipes that I included in your packet. And if there's time, I have a video I can show you on how to do super easy chicken that is low carb in of itself. And see if you have any additional questions, and then we'll talk about next steps. Okay, so today, what you should expect in being a good teacher, these are your what you should get out of the class. I'd like you to walk away with an understanding of what low carb is. And I call it my definition because I'm not super strict when I do low carb. And I know I said, oh, get the no sugar mayo and the no sugar ketchup, because I want you to know what the range is, but you should do what you're comfortable with. I'd like you to know, learn which ingredients are considered low carb and why. And hopefully you'll be able to learn some new cooking techniques and recipes. And at the end, maybe you can show me what you've done. And yeah, the goal is that you can make at least one of these recipes, if not all three. Okay, housekeeping. Because we're going to be baking, if you're going to be baking, go ahead and start your oven now. And the oven temperature, I believe, is 350. So go ahead and turn your oven on now so it has at least half an hour to heat up. All right. Hopefully that's not too much. I knew there was a reason for me to put that in. Hopefully it's not too much background noise for me. And during the class, you're going to be on mute, as you see. And if you have a question, just use the chat box, which I don't think I can see it now, but let me just look down. I will do my best. If you, like I said, you could always try waving at me like a crazy person. That should work. And you can either ask the chat directly to me privately, or you can open up to the group. I think what we're going to do, and again, I think my daughter's going to be here helping out, is that she'll monitor that. And then, sorry, I should be looking up this way. She'll monitor that, and then she can tell me when there's a question. But I basically, even whenever I present, if there's a question, I sort of wait till there's a good breaking period or a breaking point, and I can go and check on the chat to see if there's questions. If she's not here, because who knows, she is 15, so who knows what she's doing. Anyway, and at the end, we'll open it up to questions. And if we're doing that, just stay on mute to make it easy. And if I can't hear you, I'll sort of say, I can't hear you. If you need to step away, you need to leave early, don't worry about it. We are recording it as of now. And at the very end, I'm going to send a survey. And if you would be so kind as to fill out the survey and let me know what you thought about the class, I'd appreciate it. And the recording will be available afterwards. I haven't figured out how that works, but yeah, I will. All right. About me. So let's talk a little bit, if you don't know me. I started off working, before even the restaurants, I went to culinary school and I started off in restaurants. I moved into food service and healthcare, and I sort of became interested in nutrition at that point. And then I had a little stint in tech training. So I realized I really liked teaching and I liked numbers. And I had been doing some accounting. So I did this funny transition. When my kids were born, I stopped the corporate job, and that lasted a few months where I was like, I need to do something. So I started the Family Chef around 2006-ish. I sort of like to say I merged the careers of the teaching and the cooking to become a cooking instructor. And then my daughter was diagnosed with gluten intolerance in 2007. So I've been teaching and cooking gluten-free since 2007. I was a personal chef for a family from 2012 to 2017, and their diet started off paleo, then it was autoimmune protocol or AIP, and then eventually sort of low carb, low sugar. So I was, self-taught and figured it out as I went along. But at the end of the day, I was always, the most important thing was that the food tasted good. Around 2016, I changed my own diet because I was sort of curious about it. So I would cook for them and I'd come home and I cooked the same way for my family. So I found it worked really well for me. When I don't eat sugar, I have less joint pain. I have less like a little acid reflux kind of thing going. I have less of that. So I prefer to eat low carb, but I don't always, especially since when I bake, I don't, I have to taste it. So so again, I love to cook and I love to teach, and just, so, I'm not a dietitian. Although I'd love to play one on TV, I am not a dietitian, but I do dabble in just I like to understand how things work. But if you have medical questions, I'm not the person. But if you ask me how can I make an egg substitute that I'm good at? Okay, and I just thought it'd be fun to share with you some fun facts about me. So the first thing that I'm not sure if you know about me is I love water. Besides drinking water, I loved being near the water. So I lived in New Hampshire and Boston before I moved to California. And I didn't realize this, but I really like any kind of water. I love to swim in the lake, and I like to look at the ocean because I don't like the salt so much. And I love swimming in pools and I just feel very much like a mermaid. So that's one thing about me. I love fun socks, and I think my friend Erin is on here, and I do believe she gave me these. If you can see my little avocado socks, I'm not sure, but I just think it's a way to, kind of make you smile, and they're kind of cute, and when people notice them. So I have ones with bakeries or baked goods and dogs and all different things, and tacos and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So, and then my last fun fact that not many people know is that when I was in high school, a million years ago, I had to do a paper about what do you want to be when you grow up, and I really wanted to be a cruise ship director. I wanted to be like Julie McCoy from The Love Boat on a St. John. I swear to God, that was what I wanted, and it's not really exactly what ended up, but obviously being in the hospitality business is around, sort of what is true. I don't know why that's new. Okay, I did that. Okay, so let's talk about low carb basics. Why do people do it? A lot of people do it just to lower their inflammation. Again, that might be joints, it might be how they feel. Most of the time, your lower carb diet is going to give you a lower glycemic index. So it's how your body reacts to the sugar rush. Or if there's not a lot of sugar, or there's more fat and proteins, then your blood sugar kind of stays more steady. Again, people might feel better, have less symptoms, and it could be anything. It could be your skin, it could be headaches. I've heard of all different sugar doing all different things at different people. And again, people might use it to manage the blood sugar. I found for myself, if I eat less carbs, it reduces my craving, especially if I have a good healthy fat with that. So an avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. And one thing that I just want to point out is low carb doesn't necessarily mean low calorie, because carbohydrates have more calories, but your body processes differently. Again, all things I've sort of learned along the way. I would encourage you to get more information about that if you were interested. So what is low carb? I would say low to no sugar. And when I say no sugar, I'm talking more about white refined sugar. When I'm eating low carb, I do allow myself to have coconut sugar. I've started to move to swerve / erythritol in some of my baked goods, or a combination. Just depends on how strict I'm being. Low to no grains. So I've done the paleo diet before, and I really don't eat any grains. I might, I use a lot of almond flour, coconut flour, the tapioca, arrowroot, cassava. Again, I do notice a difference in how I feel. You want to minimize legumes. So, soy is not something that you would want to be having. Peanuts, beans, etc., and just whole foods as much as possible. So I found this when I Googled what is a low carb diet. I thought it was nice and simple: eating meat, fish, eggs, vegetables grown above the ground, so as opposed to potatoes, and natural foods. So butter and coconut oil are good fats. I prefer coconut oil because dairy doesn't agree with me. And you want to avoid sugar and starchy foods, which are all the foods that I love: bread, pasta, rice, beans, and potatoes. I love all those foods. I know personally I have to eat less of those. So what can you do for savory options? How can you make some substitution? So instead of pasta, serve it over vegetables. So zucchini, cauliflower, something like that. Realize that vegetables have carbs, but they just don't have as much carbs. You might choose lettuce instead of bread, or even a sweet potato. That's supposed to be lettuce instead of a bread, or sweet potato, not instead of a sweet potato, because some people use a sweet potato as almost like the the inside and the outside of a bun, or even for the pasta, using alternate flours. So let's talk about some of the flours. I don't have my almond flour out, but I have cassava. So this is, because I like this brand, Otto's. So I use this on my grain-free baking. Cassava root is not a grain, but it still has carbs, but again, it's just an option. I do use tapioca flour. I have arrowroot in my cabinet. Coconut flour. The one thing about coconut flour, though, is when you cook or bake with it, it absorbs the moisture, so you have to be really careful. So the cabbage pancake recipe that I made originally, I did a 1-to-1 swap, and then I found it sucked up all the moisture, so I've cut it back a little. So just be careful. You don't want to use, if you're substituting, say, regular flour or gluten-free flour, don't use a 1-to-1 for that. And then, so King Arthur makes a paleo baking flour, and this is almond, cassava, and coconut flour. But I've used it once and it was like, so. I mix up my own paleo blend that if I ever do write another cookbook, it'll be in there. So those away for a moment. And for dairy subs, I like to use coconut milk, almond milk. I want to show you something. If you do want to use coconut milk in the pie today, if you take your coconut, let me see where you can see this. If you take the coconut milk and you put it in hot water, so the can, this is the can, it's not open, and then let it sit in hot water and then shake it. If you ever opened up canned coconut milk and then it was just like it's just a piece of coconut and coconut water, it's the fat that's risen to the top. So if you add it to the hot water and then you shake it really well, I'm going to use the word homogenized, but I mean, obviously it's not homogenized, but it is more of a one product. It'll stay in one piece. So I'm going to use that one to make the pie crust today. The pie crust, the pumpkin pie, I should say, not the pie crust. Okay, and let's talk about some sweeteners. So you can use maple sugar. I have maple sugar here, but maple sugar still has, and maple syrup still has some carbs. So some people say, oh, it's too sweet or it's too much, but sometimes I use this when I'm just doing paleo. I do like coconut sugar. I have bought this from Costco, and then I just transferred it to this container. So it has I believe the coconut sugar has a little bit of a lower carb count than the maple sugar. Here's, don't laugh, I do have a 5-pound bag of the erythritol, but it's because a little bag like this costs $7, and I think this bag costs like $12. So the Swerve is the brand name and the erythritol is the product. And then monk fruit, I personally don't like monk fruit. I find it to be, I feel like it's too much of a fake taste. And stevia, I'm a little like on the fence about, but one of the other Amy's and I were talking, the thing with the Swerve is that it is really sweet. So I will use, let's say a recipe called for a cup of sugar, I would actually use maybe a half a cup of this and a little bit of coconut sugar. I find that to be a good balance. Okay, and recipes. So what did I do today? So these recipes that we're making today were all what I call regular recipes, and we're not gluten-free or low carb. But one thing that I've gotten good at is to be able to look at a recipe and say, okay, what do we need to change? So with the Japanese cabbage pancake, it used to have regular flour. And then initially I changed it to gluten-free flour, and now I'm using coconut flour, and also the soy. So you said soy sauce, and I'm using coconut aminos. The coconut shrimp, that recipe is in my cookbook. I love it. I've been making it for years and years. I used to use cornstarch, so now we're just using tapioca flour so just a little bit less starchy. And the tapioca is, again, a starch, not a grain. And you probably could use almond. I mean, you'd have to play with it a little, but I think that it's such a small amount, it's okay. And this is where I'm talking about like how strict you are. If you're super strict, you may not want to use any tapioca flour. The pumpkin pie. Oh, and then the other thing with the coconut shrimp is that there used to be, I used to use the sweetened coconut like this, which has a lot of sugar. And now I use a unsweetened coconut. So I think it tastes just, I mean, it's not as sweet, but I think it tastes really good. The pumpkin pie, initially the pumpkin pie, of course, had the crust and had all the greens in the crust and the sugar and the heavy cream. And well, I guess the heavy cream isn't so bad unless you can't have cream like me. And then I made it gluten-free. So I used a gluten-free pie crust, and then I used almond milk instead for the ingredient for the pudding or for the filling. And now I'm gonna use coconut milk today. You could do no crust, and that's what we're doing today, or you could use a nut crust, and then we're gonna be using some sugar substitutes. Okay, so this is the order we're gonna cook in. We're gonna start with the pumpkin pie. Then we're gonna move to the Japanese cabbage pancake. And I'm just gonna demo half of the cabbage pancake because I wanna be able to move things along. You can keep cooking in the background or you can cook it after, and same with the coconut shrimp. I'm just gonna make enough to make one layer, and then, yeah. And I think that's it. Let's stop. All right. So can you guys see me? Let me go, no. Hold on, let me just, hold on. Let me try something. All right, so, oops, let me just try something. If you guys want to, oh yes, I can see you. Thank you. I can't see myself all of a sudden. I don't know why. All right, I see everyone's faces here. Let me just try moving it like this. All right, I don't, all right, if anybody, you all can hear me okay? Let me see, there's a couple chats, and yes, I can see you, yes, okay. All righty. Let me put this over here so I can see it. I just can't see myself on the screen where before I could see it. So let me go and mute everybody again. All right, so I'm gonna keep the chat open. I think that should work. So without any further ado, you guys ready to cook? Yes, or watch? Yes, 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 okay. Pumpkin pie. So I'm just trying to think of where I'm gonna put myself. I'll put myself, keep myself here. So I'm gonna move this back a little bit. I'm gonna rearrange some things. As I used to teach classes for Oracle. I was a instructor for financial applications. And then if I had a moment where I had to make something like, just talk amongst yourselves, let me give you a topic. Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island, discuss. So let's put this over here. This over here. All right. So far, so good, everyone. Let's see, I didn't have the pumpkin pie spice. What can I use instead? So if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, it's usually made up of cinnamon, and then there's nutmeg, allspice, cloves, ginger. So something like a 1/4 teaspoon of each of those. So cinnamon, you would do the teaspoon and then a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe more like 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves. And so Stephanie, you can tell me if you have all those ingredients. All right. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say was I'm going to add cardamom in mine because I like cardamom. So if that's something you have and you want to add that, it's really delicious. And in the directions, you can see that I've told you to mix the pumpkin pie, the coconut sugar, etc. Do you know why we're adding the eggs later without looking? Anybody know why? Like, why wouldn't we add the eggs all at once? Anybody? The reason is we're going to add all those ingredients and we're going to taste it. And then if you're like, oh, it's not quite sweet enough, or I want more spice in there, you want to taste it before you add the eggs. So what I did was I have already, I'm going to change the angle of the camera. I have already, sorry, I got to figure this out. I've already cracked the eggs, so they're ready to go. All right, let me try. I just want to get this where you guys can see. Okay, how is that there? I think you can see me. All right, we're going to try it. So I'm going to put the eggs over here. The erythritol there. And we're just going to start adding. Oh, yeah, you can see me. Okay. So there's my bowl. So let's start with the pumpkin puree. It's just, if you, Amy B, if you have for the pumpkin, I think you had the big can, you just need 15 ounces. So it might be half of that big can. So hopefully Amy B can hear me about that because it might be too much. Oops. So that went to the sink. All right, so go ahead and add this to my bowl. And if you have, one can, but not, make sure if you have the big can, Amy B, make sure that it says I can. I'm not sure if you mean one or if it says one can. You only want 15 ounces. I feel like that big can is twice that amount. All right. And we have our oven on, which is good. And like I said, it takes about 45 minutes, but you do want your oven heating for, you know, I used to only preheat my oven for a short amount of time, but now I'm preheating it more like a half an hour. I find my oven works a lot better if it's really hot and not just sort of hot. But if it ends up being more like 20 minutes, it'll be okay. All right, there is the pumpkin. And next, we're going to add our erythritol. Oh, also for the pie dish. So you want it about this size, about 9-inch pie dish. So you see. Oh, and we're going to, you know what? Let's grease that too. So I have a coconut spray that I got at our local store here, New Leaf. Again, I'm not super strict. I'd say the only thing I wouldn't want you to add is a spray that has flour. But if it has a little bit of soy and it's just a small amount, you'll still get a gold star today. How's that sound? All right. So our pumpkin is in there. If you don't have the erythritol or the swerve, you can just use all coconut sugar. It's fine. And that's why we're going to taste it. So we're going to just do a third of a cup of that. Okay, and then we're going to get our coconut sugar. And the reason I'm not putting a lot of coconut sugar in here is because, again, it does have some carbs, but if you're not worried about if you're not worried about being super too carby, you can add more. So I think that's a good balance, is about that much coconut sugar to that much pumpkin pie. And the thing is, if you look at a regular recipe for pumpkin pie, it uses like a cup of sugar. So this is definitely a lot less. All right, almond milk. So I'm going to use the coconut milk today. This is my little lovely girl. Hi. They can't hear you. It's okay. If you just want to come and look at the screen for me, that would, okay. And I'm just using 3/4 of a cup. Can you look at it from here? Just want to be watching that. Okay, yes, my daughter's here, but she doesn't want to get on the camera. So, and I just spilled my coconut milk. What? Do you want to just stay here? And then if I need you, I'll let you know. Okay. All right. Oops. Yep. So I don't know if you can see this, but you see how nice and mixed in it is, and that's because I heated that up first. All right. Had a small mishap with the coconut milk as I opened it, so I'm just going to move a few things over here and get a towel. And I will get another. All right. Okay. Like it didn't even happen. All right. So we're putting our milk in there again. It can be almond milk. I like the coconut milk because I feel like it's a little bit thicker. We're going to start with a teaspoon of cinnamon. So what I usually do is I mix or measure the cinnamon first because the pumpkin pie spice has cinnamon, so I won't be like contaminating it at all. So spices are like an ish. So if you like it spicier, it's fine. If it's fine if you use more or less. And Stephanie, yes, I use the coconut milk instead of the almond milk, just because I wanted something a little thicker. It really is fine to use either one. All right, and then my pumpkin pie spice, and I think we figured out what the sub is for that, because I like it spicy. And then for the cardamom, which if you like this flavor, this is a really nice combination. I'm just gonna eyeball this. I just want about a 1/4 teaspoon. I know it's all gonna come out in a big lump. And I'm gonna go, oof. One time I was teaching a class and instead of, I was making tiramisu, and instead of cinnamon, I had grabbed black pepper. That was not a good ingredient for, you know, for tiramisu, but luckily it landed right. It was the mascarpone. It landed right in the mascarpone, and I was able to scoop it out and stir it over. But I kind of learned my lesson to look at what I do first. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This is just kosher salt, and we'll go ahead and mix that. So what we're doing is we're really making a custard by doing it without the crust. And the eggs are going to give it some lift and also make it nice and smooth. So how's everyone doing? Is everyone mixing? All right. And then we're going to taste this before we add our eggs and see if we like the flavor. And if you taste it and you're not sure what to look for, you can ask me why. Who knows why I added salt? You can answer in your chat. Why did I add salt? Flavor, very good. Yep. So it enhances salt. I put in 3 doses. Yes, Janet, good job. Thank you, Janet. So the salt enhances your flavor. So you don't really taste the salt, but when you don't have salt in a baked recipe, a lot of times it'll taste flat. Right. We'll get a spoon. I have all these little teaspoons over here. So I really want to check to make sure it's not too sweet. I actually think it could be a little more spicier. So I'm going to add for this a little more cinnamon because again, this is the flavors that I like. And I'm going to add a little more pumpkin pie spice. And I think just a touch. Again, let's hope this doesn't, I don't have a little more of the. It's nice when I'm cooking like this. One of the advantages for me is that if I do lick my fingers, I don't have to worry about contaminating you guys. I don't have to wear a mask. How nice is that? Or nobody, hopefully no one else has to wear a mask today. Just makes life a little bit easier. All right. That's looking really good. Okay, I like it. So go ahead and taste it and let me know what you think. I'm gonna take a sip of water for a moment. Okay, I have another quiz for you. I had everything set up on this tray here. What is that called in the kitchen, the official term for having all of your things ready to go before you cook? And just answer in the chat if you know the answer. Something besides prep. It's a 3-word phrase. It's French. it sort of means, it does mean prep. Something mise, you're getting closer. Mise en something else. Mise en place, thank you, Janet. That is the answer. So that was one of the things I was taught back in the day was mise en place, and it does make it a lot easier to have all your ingredients ready to go. All right, now that we're confident that we're gonna have a yummy tasting custard, I'm gonna take my eggs. A lot of times just use a simple fork to do my mixing. I do have whisks, but to mix this small amount, and notice I'm mixing it over the bowl. So if I spill a little bit, it's just gonna end up right in there. And you can be my next assistant next time. How does that sound? You stir it in the bowl with the pumpkin. So yes, but because of you could, but you'd have to really make sure that you are mixing it well, because if you don't mix it well, you're going to have the white may not mix, and then you might have pockets where it's not mixed. So, and I definitely like to crack my eggs into another bowl besides cracking it straight into there, because I don't want shells. And every once in a while, I get a shell. When we do the cabbage pancake, I'll show you the way that I like to do my, go ahead and add the eggs. The way I like to crack eggs, there's a little bit of a method to that as well. All right. I hope someone's doing the dishes today, because I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let me just wipe this off so I don't get any tapioca flour in here. I guess, you know, I'm gonna get actually a small bowl. I guess because I training and such, I'm really cognizant of not contaminating things. So you know, always want to make sure that I am not sticking, you know, something that I use with one spoon is getting used for something else. So sometimes that's why I do things as well. All right, put that there. And oh, I think I didn't screw up, but I didn't put enough. I didn't put enough in there. Linda, you still awake? Not too tired over there on the East Coast? I got one East Coaster. Got a lot from the coast side. Got a San Diego area. If there's any questions, I can see the chat. I seems to be able to manage this. Okay, so 1 teaspoon. This is the tapioca flour. This is just to help hold it together. 2 teaspoons. I might need that later, so I'm gonna leave that there. Oh my God, tablespoon. That is a tablespoon. I guess I was thinking as a spoon, and I'm just gonna use my. This. If this, you know what? Actually, I take that back. The fork that I had for my eggs. I feel like it has to get whisked. Oh my God, just put in coconut flour instead. Okay, Janet. Oh, okay. So Janet said to me, you just put in coconut flour. What did we say that coconut flour can do? Janet, to recover from that, I would add some extra liquid, maybe a 1/4 cup more of your whatever preferred liquid you were using. I think that would be my recommendation on how to recover from that. I've done things like that, don't worry. I was making, for the bakery, I was making, I don't know, pizza or something or bread, and I used cake flour instead of what I was supposed to do. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah. Yeah, Janet, I think you'll be fine. So 1/4 cup extra, that should solve it. So you'll see with the tapioca, you might see some white bits. Just try to get those mixed in. Between that and the egg white. Okay. I'm very lonely here. Just like no noise. My husband has the dogs. My son is actually being quiet. Usually I can hear him through this room. I can't really hear you guys right now. I have to, maybe I have to have the mute off. I feel like I'm in a vacuum. All right. So I'd say, you know, again, worst cases, there might be a couple little lumps of the tapioca. I think it won't be the end of the world. Sorry, clink. I'd say it's ready to go. So here's my dish. And then use your spatula to scrape everything out. Because I'm very much every last bit in there. Did everyone like the taste of the pumpkin filling before that went in? Mine is dark. Oh, it could, okay. So, okay. The darkness could be the pumpkin itself. So don't worry about it if it's darker. So just this batch of pumpkin, it was a little bit lighter. Sometimes some of the pumpkins I've noticed can be darker. So don't worry about that at all. How does it taste? That's what I would say. As long as it tastes good before you put the eggs in, that's what I would be more concerned about. Relish, delish, yeah. Okay, in this big sink, back to here. So is everyone ready to put them in the oven? Because I'm ready to put mine in the oven. All right, I'm gonna put mine in the oven. I'm here, you just can't see me. Perfect temperature, 350. All right. And I'm putting my timer on for 40 minutes, so if you forget, I will remind you. All right. How was that, everyone? How did the first recipe go? You feel like that went okay, process-wise? Yeah? Okay, that tasted, he said, it tastes like pumpkin pie. Excellent. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a minute to clean up my mies, and then I think we'll do the cabbage pancake next. So why don't you take a moment and get yourself ready. I didn't even use half my utensils. So switch out your ingredients and get your cabbage pancake ready to go. Move this over here. Use this later. All right, we're gonna do. I just want to show you, this is the pan that I'm going to use for the cabbage pancake. It's probably about, I think, 8 inches or so across. So make sure you have a pan about this size. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because my my AirPods sort of did that little like beep beep beep. I ran out of power. Let me just look. Speaker. Okay. If you're having any trouble, just let me know. All right. Maybe what we'll do is make the sauce. We'll make the sauce while the cabbage is cooking. So get this right there. All right, so this next recipe is called, so a friend of mine, Caroline, who some of you know, my friends that are in Hampton Bay, it's called okonomiyaki, which means either grill as you like it or as you like it grilled. It's from what I understand, sort of like Japanese comfort food. She first made it for me. I went to a class at her house and they made sushi and they made this and they made a gluten-free version for me and I just loved it. And I just forget to make it sometimes, but it's so easy and it's so delicious. And then so I converted it first to gluten-free and then I ended up converting it to be paleo, so or low carb. So I'm very excited to show you this. Now I'm going to, even though I said to make sure that you had done your prep, I do want to do a little bit of prep on the scallions just to show some technique on chopping, because I realized I wasn't going to be showing any chopping. And I also want to show you with the eggs. So I'm going to move the camera back down. All right, and let me ask about the cabbage. I ended up buying, this is a product I really like. Does anybody need to, if you need to slice your cabbage, do that now. You just want to make sure it's thin. You can see how thin it is. It doesn't have to be paper thin, but it'll cook better if it's thin. So the first thing I want to show you is how to crack your eggs, because there is a technique with this. I always crack my eggs on the counter. Is how I find it to be the best. So the other thing is you want to be using room temperature eggs. And if they're not room temperature or you took them right out of the fridge, what you can do is put them in a bowl and then put hot water over them. And then what that will do is it'll enable you to get it to room temp really quickly. So I'm going to first take them out so the water stays on here, then off to the side. And how I crack my eggs, this is how I do it every single time, is I just do a little tap on the counter and then into, or the counter or the cutting board, tap. Yeah, definitely clean up on aisle 5. Really, 2 fingers like this, and notice hardly any shell. Most of it went in the bowl, only a little bit on the cutting board. So 2 fingers, 2 thumbs, I should say. All right, so there's our 4 eggs. Let me just put those in the sink. I have a little sink next to my prep area, which is so nice. So I have a place to throw things and then you can't see it. All right, so here are my eggs. And then we're just gonna start building from there. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I'm glad you like that tip. That's what I like to do, is give people tips. I wash them first. I'm gonna take off, I usually take off the tip, not the tip, the little hairy part there. And then I look at it, and if it looks like this one, it's like a little, not dirty, but like a little kind of stringy, I pull that off. And in the original recipe, it said to put the whites into the batter and save the greens for the top. And I'm like, I'm always also looking for what's the easiest way to do things. So I just put it right in. All right, when I chop scallions, if I want it really fine, notice I have them all together. And when I sent you the rest of the equipment list, one thing I know, sometimes I've been at people's houses and this is what they have. They have a cutting board this size and they have a knife this big. And then they say, oh, cooking is so hard. And I'm like, how are you going to do all that on this little board? No, you have to have a big cutting board and you have to have the right size knife. It's really, really important. That might be something that could be standing in your way. So that's one reason I sent you all that. So this is a nice cutting board for just doing something simple. If I'm doing more prepping, I want it bigger. So I have them cut off the tips, start from here and make an incision and go down. And also notice with the knife, I'm always moving away from my fingers and not toward my fingers to avoid a visit to the ER. We don't want that. Okay, right in the middle. a sharp knife is also important. And then starting here, you're going to hold it like this, and with a rocking motion, okay? And as you get close to your fingers, move it back. I would say that this is really just for flavor. So if you didn't have scallions, you could use white onion. Maybe just a little bit more. And I'll save that maybe for something else for later on. I'm just going to make sure they're chopped small. They're going to get cooked. And again, rocking motion. But if you cut it in the middle the way I did, you don't have to do as much of this. And then here's my bowl. And then this is going to go right in. Now, if you're going to be doing this where you're taking from the knife, again, push away from the blade, not toward the blade. And be careful not to dull your knife. So you can scrape it from the top, but I usually just do one simple like that. And then, and again, I've been doing this a long time. You can also use a bench scraper. Just be really careful with your knife. Okay, our next ingredient, so that's the chopping demo. I think that's all I had to do for chopping. The next ingredient is the ginger. Now, again, if you know me, I like things that are easy. So I found this in Safeway. It's a ginger paste. There is a little bit of sugar in it. So if you don't want any sugar, just take your ginger and chop it up finely. And this is something that is just based on your taste. So if you make this, you're like, man, I really love ginger. I want a real ginger flavor. You can just add more to it. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon and about 2 teaspoons, maybe a little more. And again, I can always add, if I want to add more, I can always add a little more to that. And next is my coconut aminos. And I'm realizing I don't, oh no, there it is. Okay. So I get the one from Trader Joe's. You can get this almost in any store these days. It does have some carbs, but I use it as my soy sub. Soy does not work well for me. So I'm gonna add a tablespoon of that. And then we're gonna add a teaspoon of sesame oil. And then we're gonna be adding some salt. What do you think the salt is gonna be doing in this recipe? What would this, besides adding flavor, what would the salt be doing? Think about what we're adding for ingredients. Bueller? Anyone? Bueller?
It's gonna make your cabbage become juicier.
Yes, thank you, Janet. Exactly, and we want that because we do want that cabbage to, we want some of that liquid to come out, especially since we're adding it into, or adding the coconut flour. So this is my very scientific way of adding a half a teaspoon, because that's how I cook when I'm at home. All right, and before we add the coconut flour, let's go ahead and mix that up. So we have, we're already, I mean, it smells so good for those who are cooking along. I hope you're as excited about the smell. That's about all it needs. All right, let's add the coconut flour next. So, Janet, easy on the coconut flour. You are supposed to add coconut flour, don't you? All right, so just I'm even going to go maybe a little bit less than the quarter cup, just under. And one thing that's nice, because this is cooking and not baking, in the sense of we're not doing anything too scientific, it can be an ish. An ish is usually okay. So as this sets, after we mix it and the coconut is sitting, it'll get thicker. We just want to get that incorporated. And I can see the chat that all good here. So if you have any questions, just let me know, or if you just want to say hi, you can say hi. Will the clumps go away over time? Keep stirring it. If you see clumps in there, you'll keep whisking it so you don't see as much of the clumps. So it'll be thick, but if there's clumps, we want to really mix that up. All right, so this bag of shredded cabbage is 10 ounces, so I'm going to use almost all of it. I find that if I used all of it, it was a little too much. And if you were at home and you were shredding that, use that knife that I showed you and just, cut it finely. Okay, so I can leave. And if you see any big pieces like of the core like that, just take those out. Sure there's no other big pieces. Anything really thick, it just won't cook up so well. So I usually save about, all but about that much. Again, it's an ish. It's really a yummy recipe. And it looks like this is never going to make a pancake, because I remember the first time I made it, I thought, how the heck does this work? I cannot even imagine. But all you really need to do is take your fork or your spoon, whatever you have, and just stir it. And eventually it will all come together. And what we'll do is we will give it a minute or two before we even start cooking it. And I think we'll make the sauce first. So how many people like sriracha? You can just raise your hand. I can't have sriracha anymore. I can't have anything spicy. So if you like sriracha, you can add sriracha to the, not now, but later when we make our we make the sauces. So let's let that sit for just a second and go ahead and I'm gonna get a couple of little bowls. Here's a little bowl. And let's go ahead and make the sauces so that we'll have them ready to go and we can taste it. So again, this makes a double recipe. I'm just going to make one recipe and you can keep going. Yeah, because I don't want to keep you here all night long. So for your, what I was going to get was a little bit of salt. I was going to get some ketchup that I had, just a small amount. I think what I ended up doing for this one was you can make the two sauces, or you can make, yeah, I didn't even use, I don't even have the Worcestershire, I just realized. We can just serve a combination. So I'm going to cheat a little because this is all I have. My other ketchup, and it's all about just using what you have, what you like. So go ahead and get your little bowl and put your mayonnaise. The reason I said no sugar mayonnaise, it's not that I was being so strict, is that I just want you to be aware when we do buy things off the shelf, there is a lot of sugar in things, and that would be mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, the sugar in everything. So if you were being really strict, you would really want to look at your ingredients very closely, because you'd be just surprised at where you'd find it. And I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm just going to take some of my regular mayonnaise. And what I'm going to do is, since I don't like it spicy, I'm going to put in my coconut aminos. And then to flavor mine, I'm going to add, so I'm just doing this off the cuff. This is not in on the recipe. You just sort of wing it a bit. This is how I would do it for myself, what flavors I like. But you can follow along with the recipe. And then this is what will be, when it comes off of the pan, this is what we can serve it with. Almost like a Japanese Thousand Island in a way. And if you want, give that a little taste. See, Oh, that is tasty. Yummy, yummy. All right, I'm going to move my computer and my everything over here. So give me a second to just adjust myself. I'm going to unplug the computer. All right, let's see if I can do this without having anything bad happen, except I'm falling. All right. My camera. Because I do have to keep the camera attached to the computer. I should move. I want it. Should have done was move the toaster, which is in my way. All right, so you can see that there. I'm going to go ahead and put the heat on medium. The other thing I'm going to need for this is I'm going to need a lid. So let me get that now, which I think might be in the dishwasher. So you want a lid that's going to be able to go over your pan like that. We're going to put some avocado oil in first. I like avocado oil because it can take the heat. It's, you know, coconut oil would work, but enough to cover the bottom. Okay. Oh, my AirPods are going low on battery, so I may have to switch over to the regular speakers. Let me do that now. Can you guys hear me okay? Will now be used. Right. So yes, you can hear me? Yes or no? Can you guys hear me okay? Janet? Yes, thank you. Okay. All right. We're gonna let this heat up. While it's heating up now, we set this aside, and you can see that it looks like it's very, very thick, but it's all gonna work, don't worry. Okay, so just go ahead and stir that together. And the other thing I want you to have is a spatula. I'll show you the one that I'm gonna use. So we need a spatula both to press it down and to turn it over. Let me just check. How many people are adding sriracha to their, just thumbs up. You're adding sriracha? Who else is adding sriracha? Janet? Anyone else? Janet says, me, okay, Amy. All right, so. Okay, so heat's on medium, not quite ready, because we want to hear a nice sizzle when we have it go in. Maybe we'll start prepping some of the other stuff. All right, do I need to give you guys another topic to discuss? Okay, I'm gonna do a little cleanup, 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. Move camera back a little more so we have a better view of the pan. Okay. Will do. Let me work on that. That better? Okay, that feels pretty warm. Are we ready? So you're really just going to do this visually. You don't have to be precise, but about half of this is going to go into your pan. And again, right before you put it in, go ahead and stir it one more time. Just be careful with the oil that's in there. So move it around. All right, so take your spatula. It'll start to smell really nice. And press it down and make sure you don't see any of the pan below. Just add a little bit more of that. So press it down. And then we're going to put the lid on it and we're going to let it cook about 5 minutes like that. And then we're going to lower it for just a few minutes so it doesn't burn. I'm going to go check it after 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, I said for 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we'll check it after 3 minutes. All right, I'm going to get a little sip of water. I'm just going to go ahead and move some things into the area for the coconut shrimp. So one of the things you need for the coconut shrimp is some type of a dish or platter to put it on once it's battered before it goes into the pan. And I'm going to be making mine today in this size pan for the coconut shrimp. So why don't we get that ready? I can also sing an egg-free version using she. Oh, okay. Janet's testing an egg-free version. It smells great. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to start getting my coconut shrimp ready for you. If you have any questions, just send me a message in the chat. I can check that. And everyone doing okay, I assume. Everyone okay? I assume you're okay.
Amy?
Yeah.
It's 3 minutes for the cabbage.
Okay, let's take a little peek. Let's see if I can pick it up. Oh, okay. I'm gonna let it go 2 more minutes because I want it. It doesn't look like it's firm enough. If you saw what I was doing, but I want it to be where if I put the spatula underneath, it doesn't move and it's still moving a bit. So we're gonna keep going. And like I said, just get your, work on getting your shrimp, the coconut shrimp, anything you need to do, get ready for that. And then we'll switch it over. Okay, about another minute or so. What else can I tell you? Oh, so one of the things was that when my friend made this for me, she put in pork first. So what she did was she cooked the pork about almost the full way, and then she put the pancake in. And you can do it different ways. You can put it on top, but she actually cooked it together. So it was very thinly sliced pork. You could use shrimp, you could use chicken, tofu if you eat tofu. We like it just like this. But that you do have some options. Get my plate ready. So I think that's. See, I just flipped mine with success. It was very brown. Okay, so Amy, if yours is very brown, lower your heat a little bit. You don't want to keep it down. So let me try mine. That's what it should look like. So maybe more like 5 minutes is our timer. When I wrote the recipe, I really thought that I had done much more, but let's keep it on the medium. And then we will be able to, oh my gosh, we're going to have something ready to try. And you were glad I turned it. Okay, yours was darker. Okay, so if it's darker than that, lower your temperature below medium. So it just could be your stove is different to mine. We are 10 minutes away also on the pie. I'm going to take a quick peek. The pie might be more like 15 minutes. So the pie smells amazing. Good. Glad I turned it good. Okay. All right. So we're just going to let that go ahead and get your sauce if you made a sauce. So this is mine. Again, I just sort of was doing what I had because I don't like sriracha. So mine is ketchup and mayo and tamari and the sesame oil. It smells really, really good. And sometimes people, it's funny, someone had asked, oh, you're making pancakes. So they immediately assumed it was breakfast. And I was like, no, it's not breakfast. It's actually savory. So you can have this, but I have had it for breakfast. You can have it any time of the day. Yeah, I actually think the pies, I'm going to go look at mine again. I think it might need a little longer than the 10 minutes from now. Just check it. So I have my time. We'll do 3 more minutes on this. Everyone doing okay? Is the format working out all right for everyone? Hi, yes. I saw someone pop in there. Yes, thank you, Amy. Okay. All right. Mary, are you my friend from Alaska? I was trying to figure out who was coming in from Alaska. Mary W. I don't know if that's because then when I sent out the message, it said you have one person in Australia. I know who that is, and one person from Alaska. I didn't know who it was. All right. Oh, it smells so good. I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite things. I said to someone, I can't believe I don't eat this all the time. It's so easy to make. Dude, oh, she's from Virginia. Okay, never mind. I don't know who. I thought it was from Alaska. How does it smell? Like, are you starting to smell the ginger and the scallions from the cabbage pancake? Mine smells really good. All right, I'm going to peek at mine because I'm getting curious. Just be careful when you lift up the lid. There's steam there, so you might want to put on a pot holder so you don't burn yourself. And when you do something like that, always pull the lid away from you rather than this way. So like that. See all that steam coming up? Let's take a peek. On the other side. So I'd say this. So I'm going to pull mine off a little bit sooner, because I feel like it's done and I know it still had a minute. I'm going to go ahead. And you know what? Since I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and cook the other one, even though I said I wasn't going to. I'll just start it. Because I think what will happen is my family smells this and they come in here, they're going to eat all of it. And then I will have none. I've decided that sometimes I think of myself as a magician, because I go and I cook all this food and then all of a sudden it just disappears. And I'm like, who ate all the food? My family just, which is a nice compliment, but sometimes I don't say anything. I'm going to switch from a fork. So I have my pan. So I guess I would adjust the recipe a little bit. Instead of the 5 to 8 minutes, I think more like 4 to 5 minutes is enough. And I switched to a spoon. It smells great. I'm actually going to lower my heat a little bit too. I don't want to cook it too fast. As the longer that stays on, that pan's going to get pretty hot. Janet, how did yours come out with the flax eggs or chia? I'm not sure which one you used.
They are not really holding together.
Okay.
So I'm like using 2 spatulas to try and turn it at one time.
Okay.
So we'll see how they taste though, because they smell so good.
Okay, so maybe instead of the 2, maybe you need to be more like a 3, and then the you might have had maybe with yours maybe a little more coconut flour to hold it together. All right, so let's put that on. I'm going to put this in my sink. All right, so if you have does everyone have their pancake cooked who is cooking with us? Do you have one? Or Janet, you're still waiting on yours to be done?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure I'll knock this off. Okay, there I am. Is that me? Okay. All right. Here's it all done. Here we go. So it should look like that. And I'm going to take some of my sauce. Drizzle that. I'll make sure you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, this is good, hot, cold, any time of the day. Put over there. Add my water. You know I have to always have my water with me. So there's our finished product. I'm gonna do a selfie with it. Save that for later. All right, who's ready to try their, let's see. It's so good. Smells great. All right, very good. Do you guys think you would make this again? Is something you'd make? Let's see what we think of the texture. I'll be over here eating. Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks, Amy. So we're gonna let that do its thing. And Janet, you'll get back to us with your, I see plating going on. All right, let's see. Can you put your?
It does not look good, but I bet it tastes great.
Okay. She's honest. I gotta love her. All right, I'm gonna move back over to the table. All right, who knows what you're looking at? Yeah, I definitely need the cleanup crew coming in after me. Survey says, Janet?
Delicious.
Delicious. Okay, good. Everybody learned something new? That's for sure. Okay, so if you want to cook your second pancake, go for it because I think we have enough time. Oh, let me go check on the, let me go check on the pie. All right, something was, that was in the way. That's probably better. All right, let's check the pie. So it was in there 40 minutes, and the way to check, you want to get a knife, like a butter knife, and just put it in the middle. And that's getting there. It's got a little bit of a jiggle. I think I'm gonna leave mine in about another 10 minutes. Just depends on how, it looks pretty soft still. So if you like a softer pie, feels like it's hot enough, you want to make sure those eggs are cooked. You'd always take the temperature of it. But I'm going to put mine back in for 10 minutes. So do not, let's make sure I don't touch it. Yeah, it just feels a little bit jiggly still. Oh, time to turn the other one. And it's time for me to flip my pancake. All right, is everyone ready to start on the coconut shrimp? My screen is far, I can't see. All right, so like I said, make sure you have a plate to put your shrimp onto. I think we should make the sauce first so that we have, that way when we cook it, it'll be all ready to go. So I'm just going to use a little bowl here, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my mayo. This is just something for you to dip in. If you have any questions or you're a little bit behind, just send me a message. No worries, or don't worry. So normally this sauce is, instead of mayo, it's a sugar base. It's made with jelly. So I thought, okay, let's try to make it less sweet and use the mayo. And I like the idea of using the orange. So if you don't have if you like to zest, this microplane is a really good tool. I think I forgot to put it on the list. But we're gonna go ahead and zest the orange. And if you're not super strict, you can probably put a little bit of this juice in there for the flavor. If anyone needs extra time or you have any questions, but we're moving on to the coconut shrimp now. Oh, that orange smells so good. I gotta make sure this is open. This may not be open. Hold on, sorry. Just my mustard. I may have to get a different mustard. I like the sweet and salty sort of combination together. So I like to use orange and mustard, which you wouldn't normally put together, but I do like that combination. All right, and that's gonna be good. I feel like this isn't open. Oh no, I did open it. Yeah. Okay, so one, maybe 2 teaspoons of mustard, a little splash of vinegar in there, and of course some salt. All right, so go ahead and mix that up. Like I said, if we need to, a little sweet, you can either add coconut sugar, or erythritol, or just a splash of the juice. I think would be okay. Do you think the carb police would be after us? I don't think anybody would care. I kind of feel like it needs a little sweet. Let's put, so I'll leave it up to you. You can either put nothing in there. I think I'm going to do a little bit of juice. It's funny, I picked a car orange, so it's a little bit reddish. If you haven't had sugar for a while, you probably don't miss it, but if you're like me and I had sugar earlier, I do need a little sweet. So I'm just gonna put some of the juice. And that's probably a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of the juice. I'm gonna shut I'll be right back. I just have to put this here. I'm gonna take my other pancake off. So there's the second pancake. All right. Okay, let's go back to the sauce. So if you want to sweeten it up and you don't want too much sugar, you can either put a little touch of the coconut sugar or maple syrup or maybe something like that, or even the erythritol. Just really depends on what it is, how important the no sugar is. So I'm going to put in that much. So normally this is orange marmalade. So just the fact that we're not using a product with so much sugar, I think is doing pretty well. All right, and the process is going to be, we're going to have our shrimp and we're going to do egg whites, some tapioca flour, and the unsweetened coconut. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, so there's your sauce. Put that aside. And I think I don't need this right now. Have my orange for later. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Give me 1 second. Believe it or not, I have this huge kitchen and I'm running out of space because I'm just throwing things behind this behind the camera here. I'm like, anytime I'm done, I'm like, there we go, move it over there. All right, let's get ready to make the coconut shrimp. So we have our bowls ready. I am actually going to use 3 bowls. I said 2, but I'm going to use 3 bowls. So here's my egg white. And I need a 4. I'm sorry about this. And I use egg whites that were already egg whites in the carton because I use it for my baking. So just want to get it a little frothy. Again, if you can't have egg, you can use anything that'll be a binder, like a flax egg or a chia egg. Those are all used ground. Okay, so that's nice and frothy. And our tapioca flour is here. So we're going to put in some salt. And if you want to put in cayenne, you can. Again, I can't have anything spicy, so I'm not going to, but I'll put in a little bit of ground pepper. And stir that. And then next is the coconut, shredded coconut. So this is unsweetened. Remember I showed you the sweetened. It's just going to be enough to coat it. And then lastly, we have the nice friend here. We have the shrimp. So the shrimp are at room temperature. I put some paper towels so they're dry. Okay, and we're going to be dipping in the egg, the starch, the flour, and then onto our dish here. And I think the other thing we should do is to get the pan ready. So in your pan, I would add just enough avocado oil, kind of one, maybe one, almost 2 tablespoons, depends on the size. And you want it to be about that much. Go ahead and put that on the burner and put it on medium low. So when we're ready, it'll be ready to start cooking. And then I'll move everything over as well. All right, any questions about the coconut shrimp? So again, if you can have shrimp, you could also use a chicken would be fine, or fish if you can have fish. All right, so we have basically the 3 compartments, and let's make it even more efficient. I think what I'll do is we'll make all of this, and I'll wash up my hands, and then we'll start cooking it. Let me see. When should we check on the pumpkin pie, and what are we looking for when it's done? Okay, so let's talk about the pumpkin pie. So when we had first taken it out, it was still a little jiggly, so I let it cook another 10 minutes. So let's take that out now, and we'll see if it's done. I think it might be done. All right, so here's the pie, and I think you can see, hopefully it's less jiggly than it was. Let's get that, I don't know where my knife went. I'll get it. So now when I put the knife in, you can see there's no, before it looked pretty wet, and you can see around the edges, it's golden brown, and it's much more firm. So that looks good to me. Let's take yours. I think as long as yours looks about like this, you should be good. You see how that's clean coming off the knife? That was about 50 minutes is how long, if you put it in at the same time as I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my back burner and then we'll taste it after we have our shrimp. Thank you, Stephanie, because I kind of forgot about the pumpkin pie. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna give everyone a minute in case you need to go and take your pie out. Move some of my things over here. Another thing when we were talking about the coconut, I wanted to show you is, I don't know if anyone's used the coconut cream from Trader Joe's. So this is if you wanted to make a dairy-free substitute for whipped cream. It's very, very thick, and you can just take it, put it in the fridge first, and then take the fat that has risen to the top, which will be more so than the fat that's in a can of coconut milk. And then just take a whisk and whisk it with some vanilla and either regular, if you don't care about the sugar, regular powdered sugar, or the erythritol or swerve, or maybe some maple syrup, coconut sugar, and just whip it, and it becomes the texture of a soft whipped cream. So this is a nice little product. I forgot to tell you about. Okay, are we ready to start the shrimp? Yes? Yes, okay. All right, so 3 compartments. You're gonna go from egg whites to the starch to the coconut to your plate. So try to keep one hand clean if you can. It's easier if you hold it from the tail. So, and then once you've used this, am I doing this? Oh my God, I feel like I'm doing it in the wrong order. Wait a second. Oh, I did it in the wrong order. I wonder why, because that's not gonna fit. So I'm sorry, it's starch, egg white. Once you use any of this, you're not going to be able to use it again. So if you had leftover coconut or starch, because you put something raw in there, you would need to throw it out. All right, that works really well. So I'm just going to do enough for to go into my pan, because I don't want to keep you guys here all night, although it's a lot of fun. And make sure that you're coating it well. Go ahead and shut that off. All right. Yeah, and I know. Thank you. It says, who was that? Thank you, Stephanie. I realized I had made a mistake when I said I can't. It's not being going to be able to coat with anything. So I do this a lot when I'm also working with chicken. I like to keep one clean hand so that if I need to grab something, I don't have to go and wash my hands first. So starch. There's my egg white. Again, anything sticky I think would work nicely. Yeah, the first time I had coconut shrimp, I was in Florida at my sister's wedding, and I think I had 500. They were all fried, and this was way before gluten-free, all full of gluten and sugar, and they were so delicious. And I think it was was it Outback Steakhouse used to have coconut? One of the restaurants made coconut shrimp, and then I would have them occasionally there. So you can see if you're using the tail, it's pretty easy. And if you feel like it doesn't have enough of whatever the coconut, you could always dip it in the egg white again. I should have showed you how to separate an egg, but anybody have any questions on how to separate an egg? Oh, the question is, could you do it in an air fryer? And yes, absolutely. You just would want to have, of course, some fat, maybe spray it so that it crisps up. But I was thinking of trying that, just not today. But it should work, no problem. Okay, so I'm gonna look at my pan size. All right, so many I can do. I ended up finding these little shrimpies at Trader Joe's yesterday. Got all my supplies, not all my supplies, some of my supplies. I also included I think in the recipe packet, I think I included a recipe for a broccoli soup, and it does use some potato to thicken, but it's you don't need to use a lot of potato. And there's also a recipe for my chicken, a really, really good roasted chicken recipe. So when we're done, what I might do is show you that. If you haven't watched it already, because it is so simple, it's crazy. Getting there. Did everyone like the sauce then for the cabbage pancake? The good sauce? Hopefully. All right, I'll do maybe a few more. Somebody's texting me about the bakery. I have to get right back to you. And again, I'm just going to do one batch. You can do more if you would like. You can keep cooking. So I'm getting there, maybe a few more. So I think after this one, I'm going to raise the heat on my on the stove so that when I get over there, it's going to be ready. It won't take, these aren't very big shrimp, so it won't take very long to cook these. Oh, this guy is super long. What happened to him? Yeah, this is another recipe that I've been making a really long time. And it was so easy to convert it to gluten-free by just using cornstarch. So I thought for this, all you have to do is really add unsweetened coconut and a different starch. Maybe golden. Right, I'm going to do my last one. I'll do these other ones after. All right, so a lot of these I consider to be really easy. It's just a matter of getting the ingredients out. And, if you make them enough, you have an idea visually of what it should look like. You almost don't even need to measure. Okay, go ahead and raise the temperature of your pan. Get it to just above medium. I'm going to go wash my hands. And I'm going to move the camera over to the stove carefully. How's the angle there? I think that should be good. Let's get everything ready. So put my shrimp right next to the pan. I need a plate to put this onto. It's over there. Some tongs. So one of the things is you want to be careful is if you're using metal tongs in a metal pan, just be careful as you're turning it. If you have bamboo or you have plastic, well, plastic, you have to be careful that you don't, of course, burn the plastic. But it's a good amount of oil, feels pretty hot. Carefully go ahead and take the shrimp, holding the tail. You hear the sizzle? That's what you should hear, is a nice sizzle as they go in. And one layer, you don't want to crowd that pan too much. You have to move that oil around a little bit. Be careful for spinning shrimp. And this pan is beveled a little bit, so I'm going to move that oil around to make sure that it's all getting, there's oil everywhere. I guess the last time I did this, so my pan was a little bit flatter. Okay, so little shrimpies are cooking. Oh, this should start to smell nice already. We can put our sauce on our plate. Well, you know what? I think what I'll do is, one thing I didn't put in there is if you have a paper towel or a kitchen towel, let's when we take the shrimp off, let's put it on something and let some of that fat get absorbed, and then we'll put it on the plate. So. I'm going to take my mise en place tray that I had and put the, I'm going to move it from the pan to the tray to the dish. As you're cooking it, you want to take a look at the shrimp, and I can start to see that some of them are already getting kind of brown. So go ahead and start turning. If you see brown, it can be a little bit darker than that. Maybe a little. Another. You just want to make sure it doesn't burn. And if it's not getting color, you might have to raise the temperature just a little bit. Did everyone take their pie out? Who's cooking with me still? Yes, Janet, did you take your pie out? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
yes, okay, thanks. I was just curious. All right. Okay, so I raised the heat a little bit. Can you see how now they're sizzling a little bit more? That's what we're going to be looking for. Now I'm going to try turning them over. Yeah, that's what I want to see. A little bit of a darker brown. So normally these are deep fried. So I figure the fact that we're doing a pan fried, we're doing all right. So again, grabbing it by the tail so that you don't scratch your pan. You do have a Teflon pan. Oh. If there's any questions, you can send me a message or unmute yourself. Since there's not a bazillion people, I can answer it without a problem. And the pieces, some of these are a little bit light, so I might end up turning them back over at some point, but I like the color of these a lot. I think those look great. And you can see the shrimp is actually cooked. I mean, it's pink. It's curled up. Yeah. You just want to get some more color on the outside. And we'll get all that nice flavor without getting all the sugar and the sweet. Again, that's what we're looking for. One more minute. So Ginger, is that should we worry about the edges not being brown? Are we talking about the pie, Ginger?
Okay, now you should be.
Okay, now we've got our sound on. Yeah, I just had to, our oven's off. I had to cook it about 10, 15 minutes longer.
No.
Okay. Yeah, mine was in there for 10 minutes more. I initially thought it would be 40 minutes. It was more like 50, but up to an hour is probably, you know, if the edges weren't brown, I think putting it back in was a good idea.
The edges are very brown, but it was sunken in the middle and the knife wasn't coming out clean in the middle.
Okay. Is it still in the oven or did you take it out?
And there's just like a dime area in the center that is still sunken.
Sunken. Okay. All right. I'd say the shrimp is. I'm going to take those out and turn the pan off. So, Ginger? Do you think that your oven is too hot? Then, do you think maybe it was too hot?
I'm not sure. It's really old. It came with the house, and it's probably 30 years old. So.
Okay. It might be it might be too hot, is what the issue is.
Okay.
So, just trying to think. You could put a cover on it and lower the heat and let it maybe just sit in the oven and continue to cook, but not get any browner. That could, to salvage it.
Thank you.
I think it's done now.
You think it's done? Okay. Can't believe my dogs have been upstairs for I think an hour and a half and they haven't complained. They were we have 2 Labradoodles. They were hysterical. It was getting the young one was a puppy. It was getting into trouble. Gosh. Okay, so that's what they look like. Put it down for a second. Let me move this a little closer so you can see the light. Does everyone's look kind of like that? Kind of golden brown. Crispy, that's what we're looking for. Do not use the egg with the shrimp. I use coconut milk. It worked fine. Oh, great, Janet. Thank you. Okay. A little picture. All right. Nice. Oh, I like it. Those look great. Awesome. Okay, so now that it has absorbed some of the oil, I'm going to go ahead and take my tongs and put them on the plate with my sauce. They're still pretty hot, so. All right. Oh, this reminds me, we always had these at Christmas, not growing up. I mean, just in the last couple of years, my family really likes them. So it sort of reminds me of Christmas. All right. So here's the finished product. And if you're ready and they're not too hot, you can go ahead and take a dip. Let's try this guy. And with the sauce. The sauce will cool it down a little bit too. Mmm. Mm-mm-mm. What do we think? How'd we do? Thumbs up. Mine tastes really good. Yum. I like yum. Steve looks like he's happy. Okay. Who else is cooking? Amy, you still cooking? Mm. Stephanie says her family's sitting down to eat. Okay, I'm gonna who wants to try the pumpkin pie? I'm gonna go take a little taste of the pumpkin pie. I really hope you can't see my kitchen because it's kind of comical. It looks like it exploded. All right. Now, normally said we need to put the crab in the pancakes. Yes, good idea. I love. Oh, good. Yay, yay, yay. Normally, with the pie, I would say let it sit for a good half hour, but you know, we can make our own rules. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. Oh, it looks like a nice custard. See how hot? Oh, that's pretty hot. But I like it a little bit softer. I like that custardy kind of feel. But remember, this is, and we have pumpkin in here. It has a lot less sugar. It has the coconut milk, the egg, so it's high in protein. Mmm. It's a very nice texture as well. And Janet, you can come to Half and Bay to get your crab. Get it right off the boat. All right, if you guys want to, anyone, I'm going to actually allow you to, you can unmute whoever wants to, would like to talk and let me know what you think. I'm just doing that.
Thank you, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome. So a couple of things I wanted to show you. Let me just take the screen real quick. And I want to, oops, there. I have a video on how to, so it's on YouTube. I'll just send you guys this link. It's just a 2-minute video, and the results, just so you can see, it's really simple. Roasted chicken, which tastes to me just like a chicken you would find, you know, in a restaurant for, you know, if you got like a chicken salad or just a sliced chicken or chicken sandwich. And this is great because if you make a lot of it at once, you can have it in the fridge and then pull it out. So it just helps with, you know, the protein and staying, you know, so you stay satiated. And then I do have for you guys I do have a survey. So yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. Look at that. So let me send that in the chat. And I will be sending it as well to the in the email. But here it is if you have time. It's always good to do it when your things are nice and fresh. Oh, so we lost Stephanie. Okay, I will have to send that to her. Oh, sorry, I just sent it to just Stephanie. There we go. Anyone have any questions for me? Anything you want to share? Did you like, you know, that you really liked, you're excited about?
I can't wait to try them.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to cook this weekend, Mary?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Anyone else? Comments, questions?
I get my pancake to look like yours. Sorry, the dog's barking in the back.
Doodle.
But I was thinking if you made them smaller, that would work too.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, so because yours, when you say, let me grab, where's it? When you say it didn't look the same, was it that it didn't hold up, or the size, or what?
It did hold up, and I couldn't flip the large amount. Sorry, the dog is just the dog wants the food.
So it might have needed to cook longer. You might have the heat might not have been as high as it needed to be. If it didn't hold together, I think it just needs to cook longer. Because this is, I would say, almost 8 inches, 7 inches wide, and I was able to flip it pretty easily. So just try that, or try cooking it longer. Okay. Any other questions or concerns, things that came up, things that you really liked?
Any ideas how long in the air fryer to cook the coconut shrimp?
Okay, so I would say, I'm not an air fryer expert, but I know Janet is on here. I know she was talking about it. I would say maybe, I think no more than 10 minutes. Is anybody?
I was thinking 10 minutes also.
Okay.
Because the shrimp will get too cooked.
Too
But
cooked.
don't worry, we can experiment and let Amy know, and then she can share it with everyone.
Yeah, well, I have an air fryer. I can do it later. But I know with my air fryer, it has a mode to flip it over. So maybe what I would do is do it for 5 minutes and look at it and see after 5 minutes what it looks like. And if it looks really crispy, then yeah, maybe because it could also depend on the size of the shrimp, how cold it is. How cold the shrimp are, things like that. So mine cooked pretty quickly because I had a little bit smaller ones. So maybe start with 5 minutes and then no more than 10, I would say. Good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess if there's no other, I'm just trying to think. Let me get my notes and see if I had anything else I wanted to share with you guys. I'd say thank you. So I'll just kind of wrap it up here. Thank you so much for being in my first class. I sent out the survey, and please just be honest, because if there's things that didn't work or you want to see improvements, there's no way I can get better. I can take it. I've been teaching a long time, so let me know. I don't even think I can tell whose answers are whose, but it won't matter. And if you'd like to see more classes, let me know. That's one of the survey questions, is let me know what kind of classes you'd like to see. I just thought low carb would be kind of fun. I'll probably do one more free class, and maybe the next class I'll do would just be more general, gluten-free. And then after that, I might start charging a small fee for it. So I just said, it took me only 9 months of the pandemic to do this. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, but now I've got, my MailChimp, and I've got the camera, and I've got the Zoom. So, and I can always do one-on-one if people want consulting. I've always done consulting, so it's certainly easier to do it now in this day and age. We can do it like this. We don't have to be, in the same room. We can do just virtually. Any other questions or comments or anything anyone would like to add?
Tonight.
Thank you, Amy. It was fun.
Oh, good. The people that cooked, did you find the pace was okay? Were you able to keep up all right?
Well, I should have kept the screen where I could see it while I was mixing. But that's a logistics error on my part. Okay,
well, that's something I can add. I mean, that's fine if you want to add that comment, because then I should put that into the, prep. Like make sure your camera, your screen is near where you're mixing, so you can do things at once.
My problem was I was turning my head and missing where I was mixing.
Okay. Who's that?
This is Steven and Ginger.
Oh, cute. Is it Poodle?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah. Oh, so cute. I have a doodle. My doodles look like poodles, so very cute.
She's not spoiled at all.
No, neither am I, not at all. Anything else, anyone?
I was just gonna recommend that you do some Zoom, like basic Zoom tips when you start, so that people can like know how to see you the whole time, know how to see the screen the whole time, and ways that you can manipulate things. Like say you don't have a printer, so you don't want to print. So what I would do is maybe pull up the ingredients list on my iPad and then be watching on the Zoom on my laptop so that I can see both at the same time, because it's really hard when they're layered on top of each other.
Yes.
And then I know you sent the ingredient list early. Maybe I didn't scroll down far enough to see the recipes, but I should have printed them in advance, but I just had a really busy day. So
Okay.
those are my few comments, but otherwise it was super fun to do it with so many other people. That was really fun.
I wasn't sure how many people were going to be on, and I didn't want to take too much time, but would you have wanted to do a quick intro of everybody? Would you want everyone to say hi real quick, or do you think it's not necessary?
It's always nice, especially right now when we're all isolated.
Okay. Okay, I can add that. I mean, I think I'd have to just keep a cap on it, but we could all do, I could just work it into the timing, especially if we have people come in a little bit early. We can just do some, maybe what I'll do is next time I'll say we're gonna do intros between 4:15 and 4:30, and then we'll start cooking or whatever the time is. Great, thank you. All right, everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. I think and then we can just say goodbye. So thank you again for coming to the low carb cooking class. I do appreciate it.